Hi everyone, I'm Ruchika Bindra, host and journalist. Growing up, I always searched for faces like mine for inspiration. While there were some phenomenal Desi women doing some amazing things, their stories weren't at the forefront. I needed to see more of us being celebrated and represented in all facets of life. From a global influencer to a fashion stylist, I bring you some of the most inspiring Desi women nationally and internationally. Welcome to Tell Me More with Ru. On today's premiere episode, my guest is one of the most popular global Desi influencers. She rules in the space of fashion, beauty, and lifestyle. She has won Influencer of the Year by Vogue and Elle, numerous awards and accolades under her belt, and she's even walked the red carpet at Cannes. While her career highlights are amazing, the coolest part about her is that she keeps it real on social media and uses her platform to promote women empowerment. This week's inspiring Desi Babe is Diipa Khosla. Hi, Diipa. Welcome to the premiere episode of Tell Me More with Ru. How are you?
I am very well, and congratulations for your first episode. I wish you all the luck.
Thank you. You're such a sweetheart. Diipa, I was just introducing to all of our viewers just some of your career highlights. My God, girl, they are amazing. Like Cannes Red Carpet, a collab with MAC, Influencer of the Year with Vogue and Elle. Can we just take that in for a second?
That's so kind. Thank you so much. I mean, personally, if you talk to me or my team or my family, they'll tell you I am literally the opposite. Like I never celebrate anything. I think that's one of my biggest curse, and I suppose one of my good things as well, because I never stop being ambitious. So when I do receive something, I'm just like, okay, well done, let's go, what's next? And I do try to this year enjoy moments more because I've worked very hard for them. So yeah, thank you so much for that.
Congratulations. So Deepa, I want to go back to the beginning because Tell Me More, with you is all about inspiring the younger generation of South Asian girls. And we all know they look up to you. And a lot of them are always like, what's her journey like? What's it really like? And one of the things I think that draw people to you is that you're very organic and you're very authentic in things that are going on in the world and things that you're feeling. So let's rewind it back to the young 17-year-old Deepa.
Young Deepa, I think she was actually a very different girl to who you guys see today online and over the world. I think she was a very shy girl, but extremely smart and hardworking, and she always had like a fire. Like she knew she wanted to be something. She just probably hadn't grown into her skin yet. And she had acne and she was extremely skinny and la la la, so there was like a lot working against her at that point. She hadn't really come out of her shell. So I think that 17-year-old to who I am today, I almost sometimes feel like they're two different people. But she did have that conviction and that fire in her stomach, to want to do more. And over the course of the last, I guess, decade, really transformed the person I am today. And it's really been, goal setting, manifestation, a lot of it. And of course, having an incredible family and team around you. I cannot, say enough about that. I'm extremely lucky with that. And yeah, most importantly, working your ass off. Just work every single day for what you want to achieve. So I think those are I guess, my little tips and tricks that I've done to get where I am today.
So you were born in India, right? Deepa, what was the reason why you moved to the Netherlands? Was it your family relocated or a specific course in law?
Right. So I was born in India, indeed. And then I went to a British boarding school in India, hence the accent. My accent seems to have quite a lot of debate online. They're like, why are you putting on a fake accent? I'm like, it's not a fake accent. Like I learned English like this. And yes, I did study in India, but the school was an extremely international school where our teachers came from Australia and the UK and Canada and the US. So, we had this really messed up accents that we all picked up. And then after that, when I finished that school, I wanted to apply to unis abroad because my whole trajectory was very international from that point on. My mom and dad said, okay, well, you have to get a full scholarship. We're not going to pay for you. And then the other prerequisite was it had to be in the Netherlands because they had some kind of a long lost family / business, some kind of a thing there. So they were like, no, you can't go to a completely strange country. if you want to study abroad, you can go to Holland. So that's how I ended up in Holland, and I found the one university that did teach in English, and it was turned out being a very, very good uni. And yeah, so then that's how I ended up in Holland after.
I love how our brown parents have very indirectly, they say you can do whatever you want, but then they've got these like little paths set out for us. You can do it if you do it this way.
Exactly.
So you went into law,
Mm-hmm.
law degree, and then where did this desire of, you know, posting about your life come about? Because I'm sure back then, like, influencing wasn't an actual term, even though people were doing it naturally.
Yeah.
It wasn't something which we had on social media. So was it just like, okay, my friends are calling me out saying, hey, Deepa, I love your outfit, or I'm like, where did you start realizing you want to build this into something?
So after I finished my bachelor's, I was 21 at the time, yeah. And then I had about 6 months of a break before I was moving to London at that point. Because then after, bachelor's, my parents were like, now you can go wherever you want because you're like a big girl. So then I did apply to law school in London to do my LLM there in international human rights law. And then I had a 6 months break between the two. And I was in Amsterdam. And I'm like, okay, I have been studying and been a nerd my entire life. And I've always had a knack for beauty and fashion. Is there something I can do at least for 6 months as a break from studying? And turned out I got this incredible internship, my one and only job and internship I have ever had in my life was this one. And it turned out being Europe's first influencer agency. And I'm talking like OG influencers like Chiara Ferragni and like Lily Singh, like those are the only ones out there, This is about, I guess, 8 years ago, 7 years ago, something like that. And they were kind of like spearheading this whole movement of you can be a celebrity online and you can make money posting, blah, blah, blah. And this agency was indeed one of the first ones that did that. They were closing deals for these influencers with big brands, and I was shocked at the amount of money they were making already at that point. And also the kind of exposure these girls had. I'm like, how at the age of in your mid-20s do you have such a huge following and such a big impact that people follow you for everything you do? And at that point, I noticed there was not really any brown representation on a global scale. Lily was doing something on YouTube, but not really in the fashion beauty arena. It was completely empty. Like there was no one I could look up to that looked like me. And I think in the US there might have been some people, but like no one like on a global scale, like that people from India to the US to Dubai knew of. And so I was like, maybe should I try it? And it was really just maybe I should try it. Why not? I feel like I could be good at it. And for me, the thing that really made it happen was the impact point of view. I'm like, wait, I'm studying to be a human rights lawyer so that one day I might have some impact in the world. But by the time I get to that, I'll probably be 45, 50 until I can close a case that's worthy enough for an impact, while if I do this and if I play my cards right, I could be impacting girls all over the world at a much faster pace. And being from a Punjabi family, we're extremely business minded. So I got into this whole thing very strategically. I'm like, I'm going to do this because I see a hole in the market. There's no other brown girl doing it. And I'm going to make it count. Like, I'm not going to just post photos as a hobby. I'm not just going to, it was very, very strategic. And I think that's why my growth was exponential. Because from that agency, I learned everything of like, what kind of influencers work? How do you grow? How do you get in touch with brands? So it's very, very useful to have that knowledge. And yeah, there's so 5 years later, here I am. There's been no looking back since.
No, 1.1 million followers and counting. And I was looking at your page last week, and you know what I love about it, Deepa, is the authentic part. And I think that's why you're doing the kind of work you're doing. And I think that's why you have such a relationship with your followers, because it's genuine. A post that really stood out to me is how you focus on woman empowerment. Like you spoke about posting an outfit in a dress and in a swimsuit, and you said like, my clothes don't affect my idea of respect, and it shouldn't. So
absolutely.
Over time, I think a lot of the young girls and the young, impressionable South Asian girls, they go through so much. We have bullying today, we have cyberbullying, we have social bullying. Like the bullying world, it's almost grown with social media. I think for them to realize that it's okay. It's okay not to feel slut shamed if I'm wearing a bikini just because I'm a brown girl.
Absolutely.
There's that cultural thing in the back of our mind, right?
Absolutely. But that's it. I think that has become somewhat of the symbolism of what I stand for over the years. And it came quite naturally to me. It wasn't like someone told me, oh, that's what you should do or you should stand for. I think, like you said, being a brown girl, having had the same issues of this like dichotomy of two worlds where you are Indian and you are Desi and you are all that it stands for, but you are also living in a Western world with these ideals, and it is sometimes super contradictory. And you, as a brown girl yourself, a modern brown girl, need to decide what is going to be my path and am I okay with that, you know? And I think we all have struggled with it. Even things like I moved in with my boyfriend before we got married, and the kind of things that my auntie from some far away freaking country had something to say about it. I'm like, no, this is what I chose and I think that's right, and I'm sorry, but this is the world that I'm going to live. And it can be a beautiful combination of both these worlds that we grow up in. And I think that's indeed what I stand for, to be that symbolism for brown girls, that we can create our own path. And yeah, as long as you have a good enough answer to yourself, then that's good enough for me.
I love that. As long as you can stand in the mirror and answer, you know, your genuineness to yourself, I think that.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that leads me to, you got married last year.
2 years ago almost, yeah.
Oh my God, we're almost, yeah, time is flying by. I got married. Your wedding was beautiful, you know, the outfits to the venues, but I think what really stood out for me, Deepa, is the story behind it. You know, I saw your husband's reception speech, and you spoke about the fact that, and it was something that I thought about, I said, wait, we really have pushed for this, the idea that two cultures should be able to come together, and we're able to get to that today. You know, talk about our ancestors' generations, you'd never see that. It was like such an issue. And I love that. And I think, you know, for women today, a lot of brown girls, we don't live in India. That's just a fact. We live in multicultural cities and countries, you know, go to London, go to Netherlands, go to Canada. Why is it still such a fear when, you know, you're dating someone who's not Punjabi or who's not Indian?
I mean, I recently also saw that stupid show Indian Witticism. Like, I mean, it's hilarious, but some of the things it stands for, I'm like, are we in like the 18th century? Like, what are you talking about? And for me, I think, you know, bottom line is we all have for so long done what our parents have told us without question. And I think that is one of the most beautiful parts of our culture, is how highly we regard our parents, our grandparents, our traditions. But there's certain things in life that sometimes it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, even for marrying Oleg, I still receive so many hate messages from people being like, oh, are you fighting colorism, but you married a white guy? I'm like,
you're totally, first of all, you don't understand colorism.
Exactly. I'm like, someone put that together for me. Like, why does the either matter? What you stand up for and who you fall in love with. And I think indeed his speech and our entire wedding was one big example of, you know, how the world is becoming more and more polarized, more and more like us with ourselves and the others go away. Our wedding was the opposite. It was like, you know, you fall in love with who you do, you love who you do, and the beautiful combination of cultures is what is hope for the future. It's like we all can live together, and yes, it's not going to be always easy, and yes, sure, your parents have certain things to worry about. Like my dad, when Oleg asked for my hand, to him first, like before he asked me, his second question was, okay, you can have my daughter's hand, but how are you going to raise your children? Are they going to be in an Indian, Punjabi way, or are they going to be Dutch? And la la la, you know what I mean? So yeah. Typical, but of course, like they're going to look out for that. And of course, the older generations, like, this is very confusing. No, you should marry someone from your caste and from your this and from your that. By the end of the day, you got to do what makes you happy. Yeah. And I think being with a different culture is rather an adventure, your whole life of like figuring out how they do things, and like it enriches your life. It's like another aspect to the whole thing, instead of, you know, being with someone who you know everything about, who knows how everything is done. Here, even like every year at Diwali, it's excitement because he's like, oh my God, what do we do? Or we eat it with the right hand, or like we do puja this way. Like, you know, it's all about perspective. If you can look at it as an adventure instead of oh my God, this is a totally different person who doesn't understand anything about my life, I think you can make it work. And yeah, I think it's beautiful.
I loved his speech, and I totally agree with you. I think, you know, coming together, we need to look at it in that perspective. I just want to say, no pressure, but your babies are going to be perfect. Like, can we just like have, no, has no one else thought about that? Because I'm just sitting here and I'm like, oh, they're gonna be
No, they're gonna be cute. Yeah, for sure. No plans yet, but in due course.
no pressure, Deepa. I know that pressure. I was like on my bridal shower, people are like, when's your wedding? On my wedding,
Yeah.
actually be like, when are you having a baby? I'm like, can I just walk down the aisle? Like,
Yeah. Give me a second. Exactly.
you guys also founded Post for Change.
Hmm.
Talk about this organization because it's you and Oleg together.
Yeah. So essentially, Post for Change is both our worlds together. It's marrying both our world, his world of diplomacy and NGOs and United Nations and all that, and my world of influencers and influencing. And so it was basically, I went on this huge influencer trip, and at one point I was talking to the manager, the sales manager, and they were telling me about, how much profit they make due to influencer marketing and how much sales and blah blah blah. And that evening when I went to bed, I'm like, wait a second, why can't we use that same power and impact for social causes? Like, if influencers are so powerful in selling products, couldn't they be as powerful in raising awareness, or doing some calls to actions or whatever? And so I came back and I told Oleg the idea, and that's of course his world, and he's like, oh my god, that's genius, why hasn't anyone done this yet? And so just like that, we started. We sent a couple of like cold emails to a bunch of NGOs through his network, and literally the Rolls Royce of all NGOs, which is UNICEF, replied to us and said, how quickly can you organize an influencer trip? And we were like, oh my God, UNICEF just wrote back. And then 5 weeks later, we organized our first influencer trip for them, the Red Dot Challenge. I don't know if you've seen it. And it went crazy. Like, it went viral online and it was everywhere. And it had about 110 million impressions, the Red Dot Challenge globally. And so from that first trip, we knew we were onto something potent. Like, we had an amazing idea. And then we've just kept going. And now it's a year old. Every single thing with Post for Change has so far been paid by Oleg and I. And so we're now finally in the process of saying, okay, it's not sustainable if we just keep paying for it. We need to raise funds. So we're trying to raise some funds now so we can continue and do more, and hire more people and make it really more professional.
No, that's amazing. And to a lot of our viewers, I know all of you've seen it on Diipa's page, but do check it out. The Instagram handle is @postforchange. It's on her page. Go look at the work. And I think we should stand behind really using social media to make a change. Now, Diipa, let's have a little bit of fun. We have a few minutes left, okay?
Sure.
I'm going to get into your fashion, a little bit into your lifestyle. What are your 5 favorite products that you need for fall? It could be a brand, or it's just something you're like, you know what, Richika, I need to have.
What, beauty or fashion?
You can do both. If it's a leather jacket that you always need as a staple, it's totally up to you.
I have an amazing vegan leather jacket from Longchamp that I love, that I do not leave the house without. I have these amazing Chloe boots. They're kind of like, ankle length boots that are very grunge, but quite cool. I love them. Always a white t-shirt, just a really good, quality white t-shirt, always in my closet. I love sportswear lately. I think Corona has really made me into a homely sportswear, loungewear loving girl. So I always have like black leggings in like all over my closet. What else? What else fashion wise? A beanie, a good beanie, I think.
Oh my God, I agree.
I get cold a lot, so a good beanie. Yeah.
Really amazing. And Diipa, your page, you do beauty, you do lifestyle. I think a lot of girls that want to be an influencer, there's one thing I did want to ask you. How can you guide them on being genuine? Because it's so easy once you start rolling into this world to have brand A, brand B, brand C. Where does someone draw the line to say, okay, is this actually something that I want to align with?
Yeah, this is a really tough one because I actually made the mistake beginning early on in my career where I don't have rich parents at all. I think contrary to popular belief, people think I'm loaded. I am now, but I wasn't when I started.
Humble beginnings.
Absolutely. And literally my mom gave me an investment of 200 euros, which is, I don't know, $230. And that was basically what I started off with. So in the beginning, I did a lot of paid deals because I'm like, I need to pay the bills. Like, this is my full-time job, my business. So I definitely went down the whole of that because I didn't have an alternative. I could not just be like, oh, rich daddy's girl, I'm just going to post things and not get paid for it and later do it. That is the right way to grow, just purely organically on Instagram. If money was not an issue, I would say only create organic content and then get paid for it later when your audience truly loves and trusts you. But I had to do it the other way, where I did do a lot of paid deals. And then at one point I decided, okay, I think I'm doing too many paid deals. This is not genuine anymore. That I personally made the turn, really work with way fewer brands. And luckily at that point, I had a very large following. So even if I did 1 or 2 paid deals a month, that was equivalent to like, 20 or 30 smaller deals. So it was fine. It totally worked out for me. And the paid deals that I did work with were super genuine, high quality, brands I truly love. So I think, yeah, bottom line is you can do paid deals. Like, people understand this is your career, this is your job, but just never ever promote something that you wouldn't genuinely like, no matter how much money you would make out of it. Just wait it out and do it with a brand that you would truly like. And what was your other question about how to grow?
About growing, is it just, how do you align with picking a brand or not? And I love that you've been honest about your start, right? And just anyone, absolutely. Have you ever thought of doing one with your mom? I was just thinking about that right now, like a mother.
Doing what with my mom?
Mother-daughter collab of like with a brand.
I would love to. I don't think, thing is with my mom, she kind of like fell into it because I started taking videos of her. She doesn't even take it like seriously when she's on them. She is I am so lucky, by the way. I feel like a lot of people think this is just comes naturally to them, but I'm so lucky that my mom, my husband, and also a little bit more my sister and stuff are so good in front of the camera. Like, I know a lot of influencers struggle with this, but like, I feel like my mom and Oleg and stuff don't even care if there's a camera in front of them. They're like totally themselves, while, some people can get extremely conscious. So for my family content, I got very lucky with my family that they're so outgoing and they just, love it actually. But speaking about mom, I think so far it's just been, all very organic videos that I just like pull out my phone and shoot if something funny is happening. But she's never like sat in front of the camera and kind of like done it officially. But I'm going to talk to her and see if she's into it. She's a doctor, so she's extremely busy as well, but we'll see. That'll be fun.
Last question for you, Diipa, is tell me more about a pinch me moment in your career. You have such fabulous, career highlights that I've shared with our viewers. Was there a moment where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this just happened. Like, I think I've made it. And it could be something that might be small in hindsight today, but in that moment for you, that's always going to be your pinch me career moment.
I think when my face was plastered all over the Piccadilly Circus, yeah, I think so. Because there's moments like in the ad that, there were for a good 5 seconds, just my face all over the billboard. And that was insane. It was like, you're just standing right underneath it, and this massive billboard on Piccadilly Square is just completely with your face on it. And I'm an Indian girl from India, just like, came on a full scholarship to university there. And then a couple years later, seeing your face on there was definitely surreal. It was very surreal.
All our South Asian, young girls, it can happen. It doesn't matter what you're dreaming to do.
Absolutely.
Like, made it happen. So thank you so much, Diipa, for chatting with us on Tell Me More.
So welcome.
I wish you the best.
You're so welcome. Good luck. You're fantastic at this. Good luck. Bye, sweetie.